This is Dan Bolen, and I'm the host of the podcast, The Courage to Be Courageous, where people can come from all walks of life, all over the world, and share their stories of how they've used courage to get through their fear. So we're going to talk a little bit about a different type of courage today, and that has to do with physical fitness and wellness. Because sometimes it takes courage to be able to get yourself where you want to be in the physical fitness industry. And I think we have a great guest today. It's going to be John Preston, who is my partner. And John is here, and he's going to tell us the importance of physical fitness emotionally, also spiritually, and physically, the benefits of all that, because there's so many different aspects of our life where we need to feel good about ourselves, and physical fitness is a way that we can do that in all those aspects that I just talked about. So, John, welcome to our podcast today. It's nice to have you.
It's great to be here.
I'll give you a little bit of background on John's history and background and education. He is the director of fitness for a club here in the village, Gainey Ranch, where he has 12 trainers. I believe it's 13 now, isn't it?
13.
13 trainers and 8 concierges. And all of his trainers actually have a 4-year bachelor's degree in either physical fitness or wellness or related to that. That's a requirement of the village. And the 8 concierges, tell us what the concierges do, John.
So the concierge are available. They're out on the floor. They help keep the weight room neat and tidy, but they assist the members with anything that they need, whether it's directions to an area of the club they're not familiar with, or to how a machine works, or if they need to be spotted. And the reason we have them is because if a trainer's with a client, they're not available to help the members with anything. So we've got people who know enough about fitness on the weight room floor to assist the members if they need any help with anything.
That makes sense.
And they keep the place clean, they sanitize, but more than anything, they're there for the members.
I hear that. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on John's education. He has a master's degree from Arizona State University in exercise and wellness. He also has these designations. I'm going to give the letters, and John's going to tell me what each of these designations mean. Besides his Master's of Science in Masters of Science in Exercise and Wellness, he also is certified in CSCS. And what is that, John?
It's a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, and that's with National Strength and Conditioning Association.
Okay, and then he also is EP-C.
Yes, Certified Exercise Physiologist with the American College of Sports Medicine.
Okay, very good. And then he also is a CPT.
And that's a certified personal trainer with the American Council on Exercise.
Would be ACE, right?
That's ACE,
correct. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he also is a TPI. And tell us what that means.
So TPI is the Titleist Performance Institute. And if you're a golfer, you know Titleist primarily is a golf ball manufacturer, but they make golf clubs as well. And they partnered with a chiropractor, Dr. Greg Rose, and he put together a program for conditioning for golf fitness, and also working with the golf teaching professionals and the medical professionals, so everybody's speaking the same language to optimize golf performance. So I've got that certification as well.
Oh, wow. So you certainly know what you're talking about when it comes to physical fitness.
I do.
Okay.
And I've been doing it for 30 years now. So
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, what drew you to physical fitness? What got your passion toward that?
I was starting to work. I was a skinny kid, so I started to work out to try to build some muscle. But that's not really. I wasn't ever thinking of working in the industry at the time. Right after high school, I worked with my brother and my sister-in-law in the film business in LA. And if anyone's worked in the film business before, they know it's kind of a brutal industry as far as the hours. So you end up working 12 to 20 hours a day, and a lot of overnights. And so what happens is you don't get enough sleep. You don't get any regular exercise. It's a physical job, so you're not sedentary, but it kind of beats you up more than it builds you up. You're eating food off a catering truck. So it's like bad nutrition, not enough sleep, not enough exercise. And when I was working on a movie, I was in a bad mood and I didn't like the world and I didn't like myself and I didn't like people all that much. But what the beauty of the fitness industry is, you work on a movie for 2 or 4 months and then you might have 2 weeks to 2 months off because you got to land another job. So in between the movies, I would go to the grocery store and buy my own food, cook my own food. I didn't have to get up for work, so I would get as much sleep as I needed. And I'd go ride my bike at the beach. I would go to the gym and work out. And in between the movies, life was wonderful. And so it took me a long time, like almost 7 years, to put 2 and 2 together. And it's like when you don't eat right and when you don't exercise and when you don't get enough rest, you're kind of miserable. And you may not even be aware of how miserable you are. In my case, I was able to recognize it. But when you do eat right and when you do exercise and when you do get enough rest, you feel pretty good about things. And so just one day I'm at the gym and I'm watching a trainer train a client. And I'm like, that person is sharing with that client the very thing that I have come to understand about nutrition, exercise, and rest and recovery. And I'm like, I want to do what that person's doing. So I went and I talked to him about it. And he actually had a master's degree. And I just assumed that you had to have a degree to do it. And so I worked for a couple more years, put some money away, and then I quit working in the film business and started personal training my way through college because I just assumed you had to have a degree to do it. So that's kind of what drew me to it, is I knew the benefits of exercise. I saw it working for myself, and I just wanted to share that with other people. I also wanted to be paid for what I knew, instead of, in the film business, you're really just paid to pick up heavy stuff and move it around. Mm-hmm. And I saw people who had done that for years and they didn't seem very happy with their life. So, so that's what drew me to the fitness industry.
And then I think you went to Long Beach State and got your bachelor's degree in Kinesiology. Kinesiology,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I called around, and it turned out that of all the Cal State systems in the Los Angeles area, Long Beach State had the strongest program. And I was in Redondo Beach, so it wasn't that far away. So I just decided that I was going to go back to college. I did go to a community college first, because it had been 7 years since I was in high school. So I had to take a lot of, English and math all over again. And I didn't see the point of doing that at the university when there was a community college closer. So
makes sense.
So I got that. And in my undergrad degree, I opted for athletic training, which is essentially physical therapy for athletic related injuries. So it wasn't just straight exercise science. I had like a physical therapy type educational background.
And we're going to talk why that physical therapy has been very helpful for you in your personal training of others today. Mm-hmm. I think it's very important that we talk about that in just a minute. But let's talk about the benefits, John, that you see of physical activity, how it benefits you. The cardio benefits you. It affects your mood. It manages your stress, helps you with depression. Give us some insight on some of that. How does that work?
Well, it's clearly, exercise has clearly been linked with having some psychological benefits. And I'm going to go into the benefits of cardio strength and stretching as well. But as far as the psychological benefits, the thing that I want people to understand in about the psychological benefits is they've kind of moved to the forefront of what people are looking to do when they seek out a gym or an exercise program. And this goes back to pre-COVID in 2019, 2020, first part of 2020. The top 3 reasons why people joined a gym or they worked out was they wanted to lose weight, or they wanted physique transformation, meaning some combination of fat loss and muscle gain, or they were training for an event, whether it's a class reunion, their daughter's wedding, their own wedding, or a personal challenge like hiking the Grand Canyon or running a half marathon. So those were the three reasons why people wanted to work out.
And those were really short-term goals, weren't they?
No, those are kind of long-term goals.
They were, okay.
Yeah, if you want to lose 40 pounds, that's a long-term goal.
Right, but they're doing it to just lose weight, or they're doing it for a reunion, or they're doing it to get married. So it's hard to stick with that after they've accomplished their goal. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So the weight loss goal is a long-term goal, and they probably have a goal of keeping it off as well. But yeah, if they're just doing it for a 5K run, or for their daughter's wedding, or for their 50th birthday, more often than not, once that event comes and goes, they're going to stop the exercise program.
Right.
Yeah. I see what you mean by it's a short-term goal, but but it's not a lifestyle change. It's like, I did the Grand Canyon. Now I never need to work out again. So, so those were the top reasons before the pandemic. Now, the top reasons now, people want mental health. They want social engagement. They want to boost their immunity against COVID's still out there and whatever future virus that might come along. And people want to live a long and healthy life. And the cool thing from my perspective with that shift is, if you want to lose 40 pounds, it's going to take you a year. And that's assuming you can make the dietary changes that you need to make. You want to gain 15 pounds of muscle so that you look good in a bathing suit at the beach at your class reunion. That's going to take you a long time. But the mental health benefits, the social engagement benefits occur the moment you step in the gym, right? The immunity boosting effect starts right away. The mental health aspect starts in little as the first 10 minutes. So people's goals, if those are their primary goals, they're starting to accomplish them and they're starting to feel them day one. And the number one reason why people quit is because they don't get the results they want. And so therefore they make this false assumption that exercise doesn't work, and then they quit. But if your goals are to feel better about yourself and to have some social engagement, you can get that from day one. So you're going to stick to your program because it's fulfilling your goal right from the beginning. And then the transience effect is they will lose some weight and their body will change, and they'll be able to do things like run a 5K, so the long-term benefits will be there, but only if you stick to it. So the cool thing is people are more consistent with their exercise post-COVID than they were pre-COVID.
Isn't that interesting? That's a powerful point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, it does, I want to talk about some examples, because you've had some, with your amazing training you've done for over 30 years, you've had some really incredible stories. In particular, we're going to talk about a couple of them, about the lady that was in the boat and hit a wave, and how you were able to bring her back to doing something that she thought she would never do again. Tell me about that story.
Yeah, so going back to my undergraduate degree, with my background in athletic training, we'll just call it physical therapy for athletic-related injuries. The cool thing is I was in school in the morning and I was in the gym in the afternoon. So when I would learn something in the classroom, I was immediately starting to apply it in a real-world setting later that day. And so therefore the knowledge was really deeply ingrained, and it wasn't transient for me. So what happened is, in college, you're all working out together and you all like working out together and you all have amazing technique. And so you learn these exercises and you think everybody is young and everybody's fit and nobody has any diseases and everyone's body functions 100%. And then you get clients and you're like, what is this? This person can't do these exercises I just learned. I need to come up with something else. And because of my background, I was able to progress and regress exercises in a way that matched my clients' needs. And so because of that ability, my managers throughout my career, when a difficult client came along, and difficult, I mean, there's all their stuff going on with their body is a challenge, not like they're a difficult personality. They would tend to get sent to me. So I tended to have middle-aged to old people with bad backs, bad shoulders, bad knees, bad hips, all of the above, chronic diseases, diabetes. And so I kind of became known as trainer for that type of client. And then the clients you're referencing, she was riding in a boat, in the front of a boat that hit a big wave. And when the boat came down into the water, she herniated her disc, a bilateral herniation of her entire lumbar spine. So that's the 5 big discs at the bottom base of her spine, all herniated.
Wow.
For some reason, her surgeon didn't recommend surgery, and he's one of the better known surgeons in the area, so I respect it, but it sounds like somebody like that would typically have some type of surgery. But they did physical therapy, and she really didn't respond after 2 years. And he told her to go to the village and get a trainer, and my boss referred her to me.
So tell us what happened.
So I started just going through my series of back stabilization exercises and went really slow and took a long time, but she came to all her appointments and she worked at it. And I think it had been 5 years from the time she hurt herself. And I probably spent a year, maybe 15 months with her. And finally she was able to go snow skiing again for like the first time in 5 years. So I was able to rehab her back to the point where she was able to downhill snow ski.
That is fascinating. And one of her neighbors said something to you about her.
Yeah. So one of her neighbors is a member at the gym. She's still a member of the gym, but I don't see her in there as much anymore. I see her husband quite a bit. One of her neighbors says that I saved her life. So, that can be, it doesn't have to be me. There's a lot of trainers out there. People can do it on their own as well. But that speaks to the power of exercise. And going with the theme of your podcast is this lady was in pain for years. And in her case, it took her courage to walk through the door of the gym and get started.
Absolutely.
And because she really didn't have any evidence leading up to that movement was going to be the solution for her issues. And
that she probably never thought she'd snow ski again.
Yeah.
And now she's snow skiing. That's an incredible story as well. Wow, that's fascinating too. Now, there was another one I want you to tell about, the lady that was a snow skier, and she's one of your clients presently right now. Tell me about her, because I think this is also a very, very interesting and I think a very encouraging story.
Yeah, so she's an Austrian lady. She's here for the winter, and she's done that for years. She comes here for the winter and then goes back to Austria for the summer. And she was a competitive national downhill skier for Austria 50 years ago. However, she recently battled cancer, and in the process of her treatment, whatever combination of radiation, chemotherapy that she received, it destroyed the blood supply to her hip. So she basically has the same condition that Bo Jackson had with his hip. So she's due to have her hip replaced in May when she returns back to Austria. And so she's come to me to take her through and show her what to do in the gym to get the musculature around her hip as strong as possible so that her recovery will be as short as possible. And she's a lifelong exerciser. And so she really doesn't need me for motivation. She's going to come to the gym on her own. But her thing is she doesn't know how to move with a hip that doesn't work, because her body's always been completely functional. So it's a new thing for her. So I'm not spending a lot of time with her, maybe like 8 sessions. And I'm just teaching her what to do, and then she'll just take it and run from there. Mm-hmm. So,
but you're helping her.
Helping her a great deal, yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense as well. Now, there's going to be individuals out here on our podcast that are used to exercise and now they're not. They've seen the value of it, but they've stopped. How would you get those individuals that are listening? What would you say, John, that would be a motivator to get them to take a look at? You give some good reasons about the social, the community when they come to the gym, the social aspect and so forth. But let's say I use this term, caught in a squat. Just can't get moving with that. Is there anything that you would say to them that could be an encouragement for them?
Well, one of the things that I would say and it kind of goes along with this shift towards having different reasons for starting exercise, is a lot of times people want to change everything. It's like, I want to lose 50 pounds. And so they'll come in and they will say, I want to train with you 5 days a week. I want you to tell me what to do for cardio 6 days a week and tell me exactly what to eat at every single meal of the day. And I've had examples of this, and I recognize it now after 30 years. I recognize it right away. And I know that person's probably going to be a part of my life for about 10 days. Because they last about a week and a half. Because the thing is it's too much change all at once, right? Mm-hmm. You've got somebody who hasn't moved in 40 years, and they have their dietary habits, whatever they might be, and all of a sudden they're going to start moving 7, 8, 10 hours a week, and they're going to change everything they ate all at once.
Isn't going to happen.
And what happens is they have this goal, and it's a lofty goal, and what happens is something comes up at work, they miss one workout, and they feel like a complete failure because their goals were so lofty, they let themselves down, they failed, and then their response is, well, since I failed at it, I'm just going to quit altogether. And this goes beyond the fitness industry. It's in all industries. One of the things about goals is that they need to be attainable, right? So yes. Your goals need to be attainable. And like we said the other day, I can design an amazing workout for pretty much anybody. But if you do it 3 times a year, it's not going to do you any good.
Makes sense.
So it's not necessarily about how great the workout is. It's about how consistently you move. And so the goal is to just start to create it as a habit, like brushing your teeth, right? Mm-hmm. You're just going to go to the gym every day, or you're just going to go for a walk every day or a bike ride every day, whatever it is that you enjoy. But you shouldn't start with the big goal that's unattainable. Start with a goal that's attainable. I'm going to walk twice this week, and I'm going to get to the gym once.
And right? It's like trying to run a marathon, and you haven't ran a mile.
Right. And
you can't make it. You're not going to do it.
You're going to start training for a marathon by running 26 miles the very first day.
You can. Yes. Yeah, you got to work it over, and little bit each day, little improvement.
Right.
And I think that makes sense as well too.
And so get started. And I'm an advocate for working out at a health club. They got more equipment than you do have at home. And when you work out at home, there's no social engagement with anyone. When you work out at home, there's too many other things to do that, distract you from your workout. Whereas when you walk in the gym, there's not a whole lot to do there other than work out. And yeah, you can chat with some people, but it's not like you're going to do laundry or watch a TV show or pay some bills or, talk to your family. It's like you're there to work out because it's a gym. So I'm a big advocate for gym workouts over home workouts. In that regard, it's great to have a backup plan at home for the times you can't get to the gym. But I say leave the house and go hang out with some people and take advantage of all this really expensive equipment that gyms have.
And I always say it's the hardest door to get through is your own.
Yeah. And I talk to people all the time. It's like, I don't feel like being here today. And then by the time they leave, they're like, I'm so glad I did that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that speaks to the psychological benefits because you get those immediately.
Well, let's talk about the chemical reaction and the mood, changing your mood and managing stress. How does that work when you are working out? Can you give me a little insight on that, John?
Yeah. So, some of the psychological benefits, and we'll go over the physical benefits as well, but, exercise improves your mood. And in all honesty, doing it for a 10 or 15 minute walk, you'll start to already improve your mood. So that is not a huge commitment. Like if you feel like you're in a bad mood and you want to get to exercising, 10, 15 minutes of some activity, your mood's already going to be enhanced. And the thing that does that is you get a release of endorphins, primarily serotonin, And that actually gives you a similar positive feeling like morphine. Mm-hmm. Not as intense as morphine, but it's a similar thing. So in 10 minutes or more, you're starting to feel better. You're starting to get your mood's feeling improved. And so you don't need to lose 15 pounds to feel better about yourself. You can go for a 10-minute walk.
Excellent. But the long-range benefits that you may get your ultimate goal if you keep having small goals as they get bigger. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. So you're starting off with focusing on your mood, and then your body's going to change. The side effect of the exercise is what happens physically to you. Mm-hmm. And it reduces your stress. It allows people to have better coping mechanisms with stress, and that's primarily like when you're exercising, it reduces a couple hormones. Adrenaline and also the stress hormone cortisol, those drop. And so that allows you to feel less stress and also manage the stress that you have more effectively. And it also works as a kind of a distraction. Mm-hmm. If you're stressed about work, if you're stressed about a relationship, if you're stressed about money, whatever it might be, when you're working out, the actual physical movement is a distraction, a temporary distraction from what's troubling you. So it just kind of gives you a break from your stress.
It keeps you, when you're exercising and you're involved in exercising, it stops you from worrying about everything that's going on in your life.
Right.
I can see that with myself. Yeah. That makes total sense as well. So would you say that they want to start exercising, they don't necessarily have to do it 5 days a week. Would you say, is there a typical time? Is it 3 days a week that makes sense? Or we want to be small goals, and then as they get, as they get going and looking at little larger goals, would you say 3 to 4 times a week?
Well, the guidelines for activity, and this is from like the CDC, American College of Sports Medicine, they're all pretty much the same. It's 150 minutes of moderate activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. And 150 minutes is 5 times a week for 30 minutes. However, like I previously said,
how about 3 times a week for 50 minutes?
Or that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You could do that as well.
Because that gets 150 too.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could do it that way as well. But if you've not moved in 30 years, 50 minutes of exercise might wear you out. So know those are the guidelines, but it's okay to do 5 minutes or 10 minutes the first day. And then you just add a minute each time you come in and slowly build up to it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, because, it's you don't want to have a goal of 5 times for 30 minutes and you do 3 of them and then you feel like you failed on the other 2, or have a goal of 50 minutes, but your body could only hold up for 25 minutes.
So I think you've got to know your body.
Well, and you're not going to know your body till you start moving.
Absolutely.
So that's why, even though that's the goal, that shouldn't be your plan the first week or the first workout. And then as far as resistance training, 2 or 3 times a week, you want to hit every major muscle group a couple times a week. So 2 or 3 times. You always take a day off in between. I mean, it gets a little more complicated than that, and we've had conversations about that. If you're working out more than 3 times a week, then you got to start dividing the body up in some way so you don't hit the same muscle groups 2 days in a row. But a couple times a week for 45 minutes. Every muscle group. And one of the things is, obviously I'm a personal trainer, have been a personal trainer for a long time, and I'm biased.
But I think you're biased with good data. You have data that shows.
I am biased with good data, but honestly, if you're just getting started, hire a professional. You don't have to see a trainer 5 times a week for the rest of your life, but hire a trainer to teach you how to do it right. I mean, I have enough visual evidence over my career that people really don't know what they're doing when they're in the gym for some reason.
And we're going to talk about that because I think that's very important for a personal trainer, because I've been exercising probably 47 years and I exercise a lot. John knows this. I exercise 6 days a week. I do an hour and a half, 2 hours of cardio. I'm addicted to pickleball. That's my cardio. And then I work out. I work out at the village, and I also work out. We have a gym at home. But I learned that I was doing things that were not correct, and John has corrected me and shows me that some of the moves I were doing were putting stress on my body, and I shouldn't be doing them the way that I was doing them. And so he's really taught me the importance of a personal trainer. And I've had other personal trainers before, not a lot, but I've had several. And I'm probably prejudiced, but John's the best I've ever seen. I mean, he knows his business. He knows the industry. He knows the human body. He knows human movement. And I totally believe in what he says. Get a personal trainer. You don't have to be there long term, but get a personal trainer to know how to do the exercise with proper posture, how to be able to do it. And so the body is improving and it's not tearing the body down. Would that be that I think is a good rule, wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, I totally agree. And the example I use is you don't do your own dental work on yourself or your own chiropractic care on yourself or your own medical care on yourself. Most people, when their car breaks, need to go see a mechanic. If you have legal troubles, you go see an attorney. So there's experts in all these different fields. For some reason, our population seems to think that they're all experts in the fitness industry, and they're not. So like almost everybody's doing things wrong in the gym. And if you're self-motivated and you work out regularly, you don't need a trainer every single time, but have a trainer at least teach you how to do the exercises properly, and then you're off and you're ready to run. Maybe check in with them every 4 to 6 weeks to update your program. So I'm not saying that everybody needs to have a trainer 3-4 times a week, but I can pretty much guarantee everybody in the gym is doing stuff wrong. And by doing it right, it just makes your time in the gym more effective. And it reduces your risk of exacerbating muscle imbalances, which can lead to pain, which could potentially lead to overuse injuries, which could potentially lead to not being able to work out because your body's hurting. So it's like, just invest in yourself a little bit and make sure you're doing stuff right. And on that note, I'm an advocate that personal trainers should have a 4-year degree in an exercise science related field. However, that's not the case.
That's the case at the village.
That is the case at the village, yeah.
Not in the industry.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in the industry, and we are one of the only companies in the country of a large gym. There's probably some small studios, privately owned studios, where the owners require that. But as far as a big, like, kind of corporate place, we're the only ones I'm aware of. Doesn't mean we're the only one. It's the only one I'm aware of. However, since it's not the standard, so seek a trainer with an exercise science related degree, but it's not the standard. So it's a relatively small percentage of trainers that have that. Find somebody with more than 3 years of experience in the industry.
Why is that? Why more than 3 years, John?
Because, and this statistic's been going on for as long as I've been in the industry, 90% of people who get certified as a trainer and get a job as a trainer are out of the industry within their first year. So anybody...
That's incredible. Yeah. 90%?
90% are out of the industry in less than a year. They don't last for a year. And there's a lot of reasons why. That is kind of beyond the topic we're discussing here today. But the reason I say 3 years is even if somebody's done it for more than a year, they're like a top 10% performer, right? Because the bottom 90% dropped out of the industry. So if they've been doing it for 3 years, they proved in that first year that they're a top 10% performer. They perform well enough to stay in the industry. And then they also then have a couple more years of experience behind them. Because people don't know what they don't know when they're starting a new career. So that experience is valuable. So if you can't find somebody with a degree, start there. Find somebody that's been in it 3 or more years. And you're going to get a better trainer than the one who's, and I think the example you used, you went through 3 or 4 trainers at one gym over a period of months.
I did, that's true.
Because each one kept quitting, and each time you came back looking for your trainer, they weren't there anymore. And that's a really common scenario.
And it's not a real motivator for the client. It's like, God, I had this trainer, we were working on this, and I got a new trainer, and we got to start all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a disservice to the client.
It is. Yeah, I agree with that. So that makes sense too. Well, good. That's. I want to ask also about the industry and having a industry where people are. And this is one of John's passion is to have a program where all trainers are certified, like a dentist is certified, or a CPA is certified, or a doctor has certification, or a PT is certified. We don't see that in the industry today, but that's something you would like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's an uphill battle in this industry, but I see it moving that way slowly. And the reason it's like, I just think there needs to be a standard path to entering the profession. And it's not a unique concept. If you want to become a nurse, there's a clear-cut path on becoming a nurse. And there's different things, nurse practitioners versus, a registered nurse. There's different things, but an accountant has a clear-cut path on how to become a CPA. An attorney has a clear-cut path on how to become an attorney. Medical doctors, same thing. So I think the industry needs to have some teaching facilities, like there's teaching hospitals, so that when people come out of college, they go through a apprenticeship before they're a full-fledged fitness professional.
Because they're dealing with the human body.
Yeah, they're dealing with all the systems of the human body. So, they're dealing with, the circulatory system, the nervous system, the muscular system, the skeletal system, the hormone system, which is the most complicated, but they're dealing with the psychological, they're dealing with the human brain and behavior change. So there's a lot to it. And so to think that reading a book and taking an online course over the period of a few months qualifies somebody to do it, I would disagree with. But that right now that's kind of the standard for the industry right now.
Well, and you think of somebody who is becoming a medical doctor, once they become a doctor, they have a residency.
Yeah.
They have a period of time as a residency.
8 years of college, and then they still have to do a residency.
Yeah.
And I would never call for that standard for the fitness industry. I wouldn't call for a standard that's that stringent in the fitness industry. But to be honest, the standard for the industry right now is nothing.
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
I mean, if you want to work for an employer, you need to have a certification. But if you just like working out and you have enough money, you can buy equipment, rent some space, and just say you're a trainer. Say you're a personal trainer. Just don't use the word certified.
Oh, I think that's sad.
Yeah, you could open a facility and say, I'm John Preston, personal trainer. I'm not a liar, because I'm not saying that I'm certified. Mm-hmm. And so essentially there is no standard for the industry. And that's why, heed my advice, find somebody with a degree. And if you can't do that, find somebody with some extensive experience. That'll protect you.
I mean, you have several certifications, and you have to maintain those by doing continued study and employment to keep these certified. I mean, it's like a doctor has to continue to take courses of continuing education. And I know John does this. I see him doing a lot of continuing education. Do you believe in these certifications? Do you think they're important?
I do, because I mean the degree is great, and I think it's great because when something comes up with a client, a condition, something anatomical that you may not be familiar with, you can go do some research on it and you can understand it. Whereas if you just have the certification and you start trying to read a study or a medical journal or something about the condition, you're not going to understand to the same extent that somebody with a degree has. So that's why I like the degree. The thing with the certification is it pulls the whole scope of the job into one thing. And you don't get that in college. You get the information over like a 4-year period in college. So it just is a synopsis of what you need to know to be a trainer. So I'm not opposed to the certification. it's kind of like an add-on to the degree. But I don't think certification in and of itself is adequate preparation for entry into the field.
That makes sense as well. Well, John, it's been such a pleasure having you on our podcast today. You've given our listeners, I'm sure, lots of things to think about. There's listeners out there that are exercising and maybe exercising a lot, maybe doing it well. Maybe they need a trainer to show them. I thought I was doing everything well, and I learned that I was doing a lot of things that were not beneficial to my body. There's going to be people out there that are having depression or stress issues or whatever they may be dealing with on their own. You've given us some information that even just a short 10-minute walk will change the mood. It'll reduce stress. It'll reduce depression, anxiety. I know for me, and John knows this for me, if I go 2 days and I don't work out, my personality changes. I'm more irritable. Stress bothers me more. I don't feel as focused and centered like I want to be. But when I go out and do a run or go a walk or go up and run the hill a number of times or go play a game of pickleball, it changes my mood. It changes my perspective, and I'm a firm believer in exercise. That's why I've done it for so many years. So your information is so beneficial to my listeners today as well. Do you have any last minute thoughts on people that are wanting to jump in the boat, so to speak, and get going on a training program? I think you said start with small steps. If your body hasn't moved for a long time, small steps. And then don't set a big goal and then try to hit the big goal and then realize within a few days you're going to be stopping it because it's unattainable. Know your body. Know where your body's at. And the only way you know your body, as John said, is to exercise to know your body. Figure how your body feels when you start body movement. Any other tidbits, John, you'd like to share? Are we covered?
Yeah, I think what I'll finish with is I think we covered most everything. But the thing that I have to remind myself of, because I spend all day in a gym for Monday through Friday for 30 years now, is the gym is my comfort zone. I'm in my place when I'm there. But gyms can be extremely intimidating by people who are looking to start a program. And so that intimidation causes fear. And this is your opportunity to be courageous and push through that fear and take that first step and enter the gym. And one of the things I can suggest is get some help at least to start. I know you get with a trainer, they show you what to do. You're going to boost your confidence. You're not going to be so intimidated in the gym. But just take that first step, enter the door, and just get started with a little bit of something. And you'll find that as intimidating as you think the gym might be to start, I think you'll find the people there are all very happy and have positive energy and manage their stress well and don't have depression and have energy. It's a whole bunch of really positive-minded people that you're going to want to surround yourself with.
Excellent.
And so just take that first step, use courage, enter the gym, and just do a little bit every day. Or some of the days of the week to start, and the rest will take care of itself.
And I think one thing, too, when you have a partner, if you have someone like maybe it's a husband and wife listening to this podcast, go together and hold each other responsible for going.
Yeah, and that works. Having a workout buddy,
yes,
is definitely beneficial. And if you don't have that, if you can't find somebody, then hire professional help for a short period of time, because then you'll have the buddy, but you'll also be getting expert advice.
Yes, it makes sense.
Instead of you go with your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your best friend or a coworker, you're both just going to be doing some things wrong. So yes, for the support, a buddy is great, but get some help early on. It's going to help you adhere to it a lot more long term. And it's the long-term consistent effort that yields the results.
Thank you, John, so much. We appreciate you spending the time with us today. I hope my listeners have enjoyed this. Obviously, John's an expert in what he does. He's obviously has a passion for this industry. And John, thank you so much for being on my podcast with me today.
Well, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.